Ever seen someone so entitled that reality itself had to step in and smack them with karma? Well, grab your popcorn and hit that subscribe button if you love seeing rude people get what they deserve, because this story about a Karen who tried to cut an entire grocery line with a full cart is one of those, you can't make this up, moments that still makes me laugh out loud whenever I think about it. It all started on what I thought would be a perfectly ordinary Saturday afternoon, the kind where you grab a quick coffee, swing by the grocery store, and try to survive the chaos of weekend shoppers without losing your sanity. The store was packed, carts squeaking, kids crying, old songs playing through the ceiling speakers that somehow made everyone move slower. I had about 10 items in my basket, just the essentials, and joined the express line clearly labeled, 15 items or less. It was a short line, only 3 people ahead of me, and I was ready to get out in 5 minutes flat. But of course, that was before she appeared, the Karen of all Karens, the kind of person who seems to think the universe revolves around her and her discount coupons. She came rolling up with a shopping cart piled high like she was stocking a bunker for the apocalypse. Dozens of cans, cleaning supplies, soda packs, and even a 20-pound bag of dog food teetering on the top. I noticed her because she wasn't even pretending to count her items. She was talking loudly on her phone, bragging about how she always finds a way to skip those slow people in line. I thought, surely, she's not about to try what I think she's about to try. But oh, she was. She rolled right up next to me, gave me this fake smile that didn't touch her eyes, and said in that syrupy sweet tone only fake nice people use, "I just have a few things, sweetie, mind if I go ahead?" My brain froze for a moment because, what? She clearly had enough groceries to feed a small village, and she was trying to hop into the express lane meant for small baskets. I tried to be polite. I said, actually, this is the 15 items or less line. She looked at me like I'd just told her gravity was optional. Then she said the classic Karen line, "Well, I'm in a hurry." As if everyone else was there for the fun of waiting in line. Now, I'm not confrontational by nature, but something about her tone, the way she said, "Sweetie," like I was a child, made my spine stiffen. I said, "Ma'am, everyone here's in a hurry. That's why we're all following the rules." The guy behind me chuckled under his breath, and I could see the cashier, a young woman named Mia, trying not to roll her eyes because clearly this wasn't the first Karen she'd dealt with today. But Karen wasn't having it. She huffed, muttered something about disrespectful millennials, and started pushing her cart in front of me anyway. That's when the lady directly in front of me, a quiet older woman with silver hair and the patience of a saint, turned around and said, "Excuse me, ma'am, the line starts back there." You'd think that would have been enough, but no. Karen puffed up like a peacock, snapped, "You don't need to tell me what to do," and actually bumped her cart into the older woman's. The sound echoed, the metal-on-metal clank that made the whole line go silent for a moment. Now the cashier looked up, clearly torn between intervening and not wanting to escalate things, but before she could say a word, Karen started ranting about terrible customer service, and how she pays too much money to be treated like this. She was really putting on a show, waving her arms, her phone still clutched in one hand, ranting about how rules are just suggestions. I could feel the tension in the air, that electric kind that happens right before chaos breaks out. That's when the store manager, a calm, heavy-set man named Rick, appeared from behind the next lane. He had that "I've seen it all" look of someone who's worked retail for 20 years. "Ma'am," he said evenly, "please move your cart to the regular checkout. This lane is for customers with 15 items or less." Karen's jaw dropped like she couldn't believe someone dared talk back. "Excuse me, I'm a paying customer," she shrieked. Rick nodded patiently, "And so is everyone else. You'll be served faster over there." "I don't want to go over there," she snapped. "The lines are too long, and I have frozen food that's going to melt." "You're discriminating against me." Now the line was fully invested. Even the people at the next register had stopped unloading their carts to watch. You could practically hear the popcorn popping in the collective imagination of every tired shopper who'd ever dealt with someone like her. I saw Rick take a slow breath, the kind you take when you're summoning every ounce of restraint not to laugh or yell. "Ma'am," he said, "if you don't move your cart, I'll have to ask you to leave the store." That did it. She gasped like he'd just slapped her and yelled, "I'm calling corporate." While dramatically pulling out her phone. I whispered to the older woman in front of me, "Do you think she knows the number?" And she stifled a laugh. Karen dialed something, probably her voicemail, but started pretending she was talking to corporate anyway, saying things like, "Yes, this is ridiculous. I shop here all the time." Rick just stood there with his arms folded, waiting. The people behind me started filming quietly, and I knew that by tomorrow there'd be a viral video titled, "Karen Tries to Cut the Line and Fails Miserably." Finally, realizing no one was going to cave, she tried a different tactic. She looked at me, her eyes narrowing. "You could have just let me go first," she hissed. "It would have been the nice thing to do." I kept my voice calm. "And you could have followed the sign like everyone else." For a moment, it looked like she might actually swing that cart again, but Rick stepped between us and said, "That's enough." She froze, muttered something about rude little brats, and started shoving her cart toward the next line over, except Karma wasn't done with her yet. As she turned, one of her soda boxes, one of those 12 packs stacked on top, tumbled off the pile and hit the floor, bursting open. Cans rolled everywhere, fizzing and spraying. People had to step back to avoid the mini geysers of cola shooting up like fountains. The look on her face, pure disbelief and horror, was priceless. Rick, to his credit, didn't even smirk. He just handed her a roll of paper towels and said, "You can clean that up before moving, ma'am." The entire line chuckled quietly, and Karen turned bright red, muttering that this store was trash, as she scrambled to pick up the cans. By now, I was half expecting her to leave in a huff, but she didn't. Oh no, she doubled down. She shoved the wet cans back into her cart, ignoring the sticky mess, and wheeled into the next lane. That's when twist number 1 hit. Her card wouldn't work. I could hear the cashier at the other register saying, "I'm sorry, it's declined." Karen immediately started yelling that the store's system was broken and she had plenty of money. She made the poor cashier run it 3 more times before realizing her card had a fraud hold from too many recent transactions. Turns out, she'd been hopping between stores all day, getting deals, and had triggered a block. She stormed off toward the customer service desk, leaving her cart full of melting ice cream and dripping soda cans behind. Rick gave me a small grin and said, "You can go ahead, sir." As I checked out, the older woman leaned toward me and whispered, "Some people never learn." I thought it was over, but I was wrong. 10 minutes later, as I walked to my car, I saw her again in the parking lot, arguing with another customer. Apparently, she'd parked across 2 spots, and a guy in a small SUV was trying to get her to move so he could park. She was yelling something about needing space for her groceries, even though she didn't even have them anymore. I stood by my car, watching as Karma came back for round 2. The man she was yelling at calmly took out his phone, snapped a photo of her car, and said, "Thanks, I'm sending this to mall security. You're blocking a fire lane too." Her face went pale. She tried to argue, but 2 security officers were already walking toward her, probably because of the commotion inside earlier. I didn't hear the full conversation, but I did hear one of them say, "Ma'am, this is the second incident we've had with you today." That's when she finally seemed to break. She deflated like a balloon losing air, her voice dropping to a pitiful, "I just wanted to get home." One of the officers said, "Then maybe follow the rules next time," and she nodded, pushing her cartless self toward her car, cheeks red, muttering under her breath. And just like that, the mighty Karen retreated. She got in her car, slammed the door, and peeled out so fast she nearly clipped a shopping cart return. Everyone nearby paused, then burst into laughter. I don't know if she realized she'd become the villain of her own story, but she definitely walked, or rather, drove, away in shame that day.